Good afternoon, good morning, and welcome to this webinar, Android TV Optimization, Customization and Monetization, hosted by Digital TV Europe and sponsored by iWedia. I'm Stuart Thomson, I'm the editor of Digital TV Europe. Before we begin, I'd like to explain how you can participate in today's session. First, if you have any technical difficulties during the session, please press the Help button on your player console to receive assistance in solving common issues. We welcome questions, and in order to submit those to today's speaker, please simply type them into the window on the left-hand side of your screen and then hit the Submit button. We'll be answering as many questions as possible during the Q&A session that follows the main discussion, but please feel free to send in questions at any time and we'll add them to the queue. If at any time you're having audio difficulties or experiencing difficulty seeing the slides advance, simply hit the F5 key to refresh your webcast console. And please also be aware that today's session is being recorded and it will be available on the Digital TV Europe website from tomorrow for you to review, and you'll be notified by email when it's available in our archive. I'd like to begin by introducing today's speaker. We have David Paul, who's Director of Business Development for Latin America, iWedia. Located in Sao Paulo, Brazil, David has over 15 years' experience providing hardware and software solutions as well as services to the digital TV market. After starting his career as an application engineer at chipset maker NXP, he worked for Pace, now Comscope, then Smart DTV, Swiss pay TV manufacturer, device manufacturer formerly owned by Kudelski, and then in product marketing and business development positions serving the Latin American market for Smart DTV and Nagra. And he's been working for iWedia since 2016, providing world-class software solutions for connected TV devices. And he currently holds position Director of Business Development at Latin America. I'm going to begin before we get into the discussion, I'm going to begin by setting the scene with some findings from the Digital TV Europe annual survey. So the Digital TV Europe annual survey is something we carry out this year in December and January 2021, speaking to over 200 industry executives who read our publication. And we asked them a number of questions in this case, for this particular section on Android TV and the topic we're discussing today. So the basic outline of this is that Android TV has been adopted by a large number of service providers, and particularly since the introduction of Android TV operator tier, which enables them to deploy a very sophisticated service that combines access to the Google Play Store, but also with a differentiated user experience. However, Android TV on its own can only take operators so far, and in order to make the most of the opportunities available to them to add value and maximize the potential sources of revenue that they may want to, they have to really look beyond the immediate capabilities of the platform. The Dtv Survey looked at the extent to which Android TV can enable differentiated offerings, looked at the advantages and disadvantages of unicast delivery and the potential for operators to add services, particularly addressable advertising and smart home integration, which we'll discuss a bit later. We asked a number of questions to the respondents on this topic, and the first one was, to what extent can Android TV enable TV operators to differentiate their services? So Android TV is, as we've said, is growing in popularity among service providers, and that's been driven in part by Android TV operator tier, which allows them to develop custom launchers and enables them to foreground their own content and search results. But can Android TV really enable operators to truly differentiate their services? So according to the respondents, the answer broadly is yes. Only a minority, 10%, believe that Android TV offers operators a clear path to absolutely differentiate their services, but 45%, which in this chart is the mid-blue band in the pie chart, believe that the technology offers sufficient opportunity for differentiation to satisfy the needs of the majority of operators. That still leaves a minority of respondents who are yet to be convinced, and you can see those in the green and orange parts of the pie chart, with varying degrees of skepticism about it. But the key takeaway really is that for a majority of respondents, Android TV does offer operators sufficient scope for differentiation to satisfy the majority of needs. So the next question we asked were, what are the advantages and disadvantages of moving from multicast IPTV to unicast delivery with Android TV? And this is a big part of the shift that's been taking place in the TV distribution business generally, a move from pardon me, traditional broadcast type technologies or multicast technologies through to unicast. For IPTV providers, adopting Android TV certainly means abandoning multicast, moving to unicast. For the majority of their services. For survey respondents, unicast delivery carries two hugely compelling advantages over multicast IPTV, and two that are maybe a bit less compelling but still persuasive. So we've got the advantages here, and the big ones really are that unicast delivery provides an opportunity to deliver value-added services such as targeted advertising more easily, and the related advantages that unicast enables delivery of personalization of the service to a much greater degree generally. So targeted advertising can be obviously a significant revenue stream, and personalization could also help build stickiness of the service. Unicast also means a single technology to serve all types of devices, which some people find persuasive. That's as we run down that chart. You can see that this chart shows that the people who think this is a very big advantage are highlighted in the dark blue, a moderate advantage in the mid blue, and then those who are not convinced, I think it's possibly a bit of a disadvantage in the green, and then finally the orange. And the blue at the very end, which shows not an advantage at all. So we also asked about disadvantages, and I'm not going to highlight those here in this particular chart, but the big disadvantage identified really by respondents is that unicast is not really well suited to high concurrency or live streaming, and that's seen still as a bit of a problem for unicast. But the key message really is that it can benefit operators by making it easier for them to deliver personalized services, including addressable advertising. So, question 3, where an operator does deploy Android TV, what kind of impact will the choice of player have? So, with unicast, the choice of player is pretty significant. And what we asked is we're trying to identify the key factors that enable the TV operator to differentiate their service and provide a high-quality viewing experience over unicast. So assessing the importance of choice player, the operator's ability to deploy a hybrid model combining OTT apps with access to broadcast TV came at the top of the list. So in this case, you're seamlessly integrating the OTT apps that you find in the Google Play Store, but also in a hybrid environment with access to broadcast TV services. And then respondents also identified the impact of the choice of player on the operator's ability to provide traditional pay TV features, such as the EPG, DVR functionality, and catch-up TV, all important parts of the TV experience that aren't really touched on by Android TV itself. And the other elements that they also think are quite important include the ability to customize Android TV generally, provide seamless access to the Google Play Store alongside access to traditional TV services, which kind of we touched on in the hybrid part of the response, and then also the ability to deliver added value services, as we've mentioned before, such as addressable advertising on a set-top box. Okay, so how important is it for TV operators using Android TV to be able to make money from the platform through addressable advertising? Now, one of the principal ways in which TV operators can monetize their Android TV services, as we said, by introducing addressable advertising. And when we asked about this, pardon me, when we asked about this, it was clear that the majority viewed this as a significant opportunity and a priority area for service providers. Some 65% of respondents agree that addressable advertising is a very important or the single most important monetization opportunity for operators with Android TV, and consequently, and this is crucial, that it's important for the platform to support this. So the 65% you can see there in the blue bands, the dark blue and the mid blue. With the dark blue people who think it's absolutely transformative. And then you've got some 35% in the rest of the chart there who think they're a bit more skeptical. They think either it's not that big an opportunity or not at all in the orange part of the pie chart. But those are a minority. And the key thing really to take away from this is that addressable advertising is very important for operators to make money, and it's important for Android TV enabled services to support this. So, next one was, what are the main challenges associated with addressable advertising? So, we asked respondents to identify the principal things that stand in the way of fully realizing the addressable advertising goal, and respondents rated a group of 7 possible core challenges, and they rated them all really fairly equally. There wasn't too much to distinguish between these, as you can see by the more or less equitable distribution of opinions in this chart. The top rated one, although not by a huge margin, was being able to support addressable advertising on multiple platforms. And that was followed by the need to integrate to a complex ad ecosystem. So the technical complexity of doing addressable advertising that can deliver results at scale really takes top billing there. And supporting addressable advertising on hybrid set-tops where live TV is delivered over broadcast or multicast, that's also seen as an important challenge to overcome. So obviously there are a number of challenges in delivering it, and delivery over multiple platforms is possibly the most important. Pardon me, excuse me for my cold. Now, finally, we asked how important is it for TV operators with Android TV to be able to make money from the platform through smart home services. So survey respondents are really divided in their view of how important the smart home could be as a monetization route for operators. A majority really have yet to be convinced that operators are going to be able to deliver a successful commercial model around this, and 49% of respondents, which is really half the sample, believe that the smart home is of relatively minor importance among monetization opportunities currently, and it's not likely to be a major priority for service providers. And about 10% go further and take the position that the smart home is of little or no importance, and support for it is not important either. But on the other hand, you've got a large group, which is about 32% in the blue area, or almost a third of the total, believe the smart home is a very important monetization route, and it's important for Android TV to support this. And then 9%, that little dark blue blend, are really the smart home evangelicals. And they believe that the smart home is the single most important monetization route for operators with Android TV, and it's vital for the platform to support this. So the key takeaway from that one really is that industry opinion is still pretty divided about the monetization value of the smart home, and a majority have yet to really be convinced. So in summary, just briefly, Android TV is growing massively in popularity. Questions over how to add value really remain open. There's a bit of uncertainty about that. The unicast nature of Android TV presents some advantages, clearly. There are also some challenges, particularly around concurrency and live. Choice of player can be important in overcoming some of those challenges and delivering hybrid services and facilitating personalized services that add value is quite important for respondents, certainly. Among those, addressable advertising and smart home services both hold promise, and Android TV could enable both. but the opportunity to make money from addressable advertising in particular has strong appeal, and operators can use Android TV as the basis for this, with support from technology partners. So the smart home represents a potential new business opportunity that TV operators have yet to grasp. And there remains a residual degree of skepticism across the industry about how lucrative it could prove to be. However, Android TV could represent really a relatively pain-free entry point for service providers to market smart home services, thanks to its flexibility and of the platform and integration with Google Assistant and Google Nest, for example. So I'm now going to bring in David again to discuss some of these issues in a bit more depth and a bit more detail. David, how can Android TV, let's start by discussing how can Android TV really enable operators to offer a compelling service and to truly differentiate that service from others?
Well, hi, Stuart. Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this webinar. Even though you look a bit sick, I wish you a speedy recovery, and thank you for your time and dedication today. Well, it's an honor to be here, really, and I hope I'll bring useful information, insights, and tips for the audience today. So to answer your question, by itself, Android TV is already a compelling platform within a well-integrated ecosystem. It's based on an open source operating system, on top of which Google added digital services, and really nice digital services like Play Store, YouTube, complementary content protection like unicast and DRM. Third-party OTTs can also be integrated like Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, and the list goes on. And also it offers the freedom for the operator to customize its look and feel through the operator tier program. So based on this platform, the operators can really focus on differentiated their TV services and TV experience, building it on OTT, on IPTV, on broadcast. And also they could focus on launching innovative products and services. We'll hear about new launches, new Android TV launches almost every week. One of the largest ones was actually a customers of ours, True Thailand, one of the biggest tier 1 operators in APAC. They launched last year a successful Android TV set-top box with True ID. It's a fully customized operator tier UI, and with additional services like True Money, you can use it, and Vivo did it as well recently. And they just announced a few days ago also integration with Air Console, which is a cloud-based video game console that turns every Android TV into a really nice, enhanced video game platform. So, I mean, over time, Google has invested in a great effort in really streamlining the platform and to ensure great performances and great user experience, while at the same time allowing a great diverse level of customization. So it gives many possibilities to the operators.
Right. So, I mean, there's obviously a lot they can do. And you mentioned right at the end the customization, and obviously that's something that's been seen as a key advantage of the operator tier program. How far, in your view, can Android TV really be customized? And are there any limits to that customization within the framework of the actual operating system itself?
Well, it's a good question. It depends if the operators are actually building their own device, or if they are relying on retail devices that are not their own. For the ones that build their own device, there are a number of choices and possible customizations that range from the hardware itself to the UI. On the devices, on the hardware side, there's a limitation there because there's a pre-selected list of partners that have proper Google licenses, and so this can limit operators in their choice. But this actually guarantees, performances and time to market. On the other hand, you have the UI, and this regarding UI's customizations, there are a few simple basic rules to follow that can be summarized in a few slides actually within the operator tier program. What we actually find there is that there's a large array of customization, of possible customizations. So operators can really retain their own branding value and as well as their user experience. So, and most importantly, they can keep in the spotlight of their device, so having your name in front of your customer. What keeps evolving, though, is the level of customization that Google is allowing that keeps increasing every time. I can give you two examples of operators that did really a great job with this customization. Is Bouygues Telecom in France, for example, they launched a box back in 2016. It's a customer of ours. They deployed more than 4 million boxes in France. And they actually launched multiple projects with different generations, with different user interfaces, and every time customizing it. The second example is Stofa in Denmark, that they did a complete redesign of their launcher based on Android TV. And comparing to the neighbors in the Nordic region, it's a really nicely done full customization of the Android TV operator tier launcher.
Great. And I think one of the things, obviously, that moving to Android TV and operators are increasingly, looking to Android TV as they move to this aggregation model. Mm-hmm. And they're also moving to unicast, and moving to Android TV implies a move to an OTT technology, perhaps away from a multicast IPTV technology if they've got a legacy system in place, or moving directly to a unicast model if it's a greenfield development. What, for you, are the advantages? And we talked about this to some extent in the survey responses, but what are the advantages and disadvantages of moving from broadcast to unicast, or from multicast to unicast for you? And is the TV world really ready now for a pure unicast delivery model, including, I guess, crucially for live TV, which is where certainly some of our industry's respondents had some reservations?
Well, as you mentioned, the trend is to go cloud first, mobile first, and streaming first. What we see another trend from the market also is that the young generation are heavy users of OTT versus the other types of choices, of devices. The advantages, though, that the study shows is the higher degree of customization of the service, as you mentioned, the opportunity to deliver value-added services, like targeted advertising, which is also true, by the way, for broadcast and multicast, and a single technology to serve all the devices. The advantages that we see from the operators going OTT is the cost of the set-top box first. I mean, you remove the conditional access from the set-top box. If you're not going multicast or broadcast, if you go OTT, you remove the conditional access. So that means a less expensive set-top box. That means a less complicated or complex set-top box, complex project, and a better time to market. But actually, this can seem a dream come true for just to give you just the opposite side of it, the other side of the coin, flip side of the coin, is that all that glitter that we see is not necessarily gold, and operators have to manage to carefully analyze the pros and cons, and these advantages are not insignificant when going OTT. You have the overall infrastructure cost first. If the set-top box itself is less expensive, the infrastructure is pretty much costly. Then you have delays, latencies, bandwidth, buffering, lower picture quality, and most of it represent a decreased quality of experience in the end compared to the managed networks kind of deliveries. And this can have a big impact on customer satisfaction.
Right, and I guess some of those disadvantages or some of those challenges to overcome can be ameliorated to some extent by the player and the choice of player that operators choose. Can you maybe tell us a little bit or explain a little bit about the significance of the choice of player for operators when they adopt Android TV?
Sure. Well, the choice of player, as far as we understand the industry and see what's going on, is paramount, is really significant. Because once an operator chooses to go on Android TV, not only for VOD, by the way, but for also live TV services, he wants to ensure a really nice quality and viewing experience, for in any case, for its customer. So, and this is very challenging, we just mentioned, especially when distributed over OTT. So the other advantage of the player is in hybrid cases, of course, when transitions between OTT and broadcast TV is necessary. To have a really smooth transition is only possible with a really tailored, customized player. This has been pointed out by the survey, by the way, with I think 80%, close to 80% of respondents highlighting the need of a player when talking about a hybrid set-top box. And feature-wise, relying on native player, it means also dealing with these limitations. Each player has its own limitations, and each native player from each device has its own limitations. So in terms of functionalities, feature support, you really have to have a dedicated player if you want a consistent user experience between all the devices. It reminds me a big T1 operator in Brazil that complained really recently about the trick mode support and subtitles that were not supported by a certain type of smart TVs and iOS devices. And the difference, compared to the OTT quad or SVOD, is that the pay TV operator will get a phone call if ever the end user is unhappy with the service and the quality of experience. And last but not least, third really important thing and why a dedicated player is really tremendously necessary is for maintenance. Because with EXO, with native players, you have the quarterly release or biannual release from the constructor, from EXO. But then what's happening in between, if you have an issue and you have to fix it, how will you do it? With a dedicated player, you have proper maintenance, proper support. We provide, for example, if iWedia is the supplier, we provide fixes on the fly, and this is how we can really ensure a proper maintenance and proper support to your customers. And this is only possible with a dedicated player.
Right, and drilling down a little bit into that quality issue and how the player helps with that. When you look at live services, for example, how big a role does it have in addressing those problems, such as the latency that seems to, this still is a problem for live streaming services?
Yes, it's true. I mean, it's number one concern from the operators are still, delays and latency compared to the broadcast and multicast environment. And the player is at the heart of the whole streaming experience. Sorry. And the observation is pretty clear. For unicast to offer the same experience as broadcast or multicast, the choice of player again is paramount. For the different challenges that we mentioned before, and I just wanted to highlight the two of them are most important according to us is the latency or delays. Again, it's number one operator's concern. The expectations are very high. They're expecting, end users are expecting a very high level of experience compared to broadcast and multicast performances. And so optimize the performances of the player with like fast channel change, low latency are a must. And of course, the players has to support also the latest versions of low latency CNAV, MPEG-Dash, and HLS, etc. This is really paramount to offer a proper user experience. And the second one is the streaming issues. End users have a very low tolerance towards streaming issues. myself included. They are actually on top of list of churn reasons. There's a study that shows that 11% of operator subscribers that encounter several streaming problems with their operators app actually cancel their subscriptions. And actually, it's even worse. Only 40% of them report issues about their bad experience when they have bad experience. So there's a staggering 60% of chances that the end user churns and the operator is not even aware the reason why, when the reason is streaming issues.
That really is a serious issue. And when you're talking about streaming problems as such, where do these come from?
Well, the streaming problem can come from different stages, from different different stages of the pipeline. But the bad news is, for the operator, they are only visible at playback, at the end of the chain. So it's like when you try to troubleshoot it, it's like finding a needle in haystacks. It's really challenging, and especially with so many stakeholders in a way. This is why the system integration role is so important. And this has been proven to be in many occasions. The root cause analysis is a big part of the work, and troubleshooting can only lead to improve customer satisfaction and lower churn and reduce, of course, operational costs. Reminds me one example that really nice example that is a customer of ours is Beeline in Russia. We delivered the player there. We helped them with the UI, but also we were a system integrator, and we were able to have this bird's eye view on the system. And thanks to our unique system integration expertise, we were able to introduce very quick adaptations to our player ahead of time, even before even before the issues happen on the end user side. So, bottom line, to offer the best quality of experience, you really have to have a single player that works on all the devices, all the platforms, and are definitely, reliable, optimized, tailored, and maintained properly.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that our survey respondents certainly identified about the importance of the player was it helps with delivering that hybrid broadcast broadband experience, and also other applications that maybe Android TV doesn't address. What for you are the other elements of the overall TV experience that choice of player can really assist or help with, such as that hybrid type of deployment or applications that Android TV doesn't really look at because Google isn't really that focused on them, I guess.
Yes, it's true. And well, basically you just mentioned, the most important reason, it's the hybrid word, but actually there are very few players in the industry that can cover, multicast, broadcast, OTT. So this goes without saying, but this is a significant, significantly important in a hybrid pay TV environment, and the survey basically confirms this as well. But again, there's the really seamless transitions between OTT, IPTV, and broadcast. Regardless of the source of the content, is the real, I'll say, underlying requirement for a great TV experience. Of course, choosing a player that is built for hybrid devices is a must, of course. And but to truly offer user experience is all about playing around IPTV, OTT, broadcast, even knowing the source of the content or the type of content. So yeah, and we mentioned also different other functionalities and features that are not supported by the player, but really play a role, like treat mode, support of subtitles, or complex use cases. That's why you need really a state-of-the-art player in this case.
Yeah. Let's move on a little bit to the monetization aspect of the topic. And
Sure.
What support does Android TV really provide for, and the application, the key one really we looked at was addressable advertising. What do service providers really need to do to create a fully functioning addressable advertising play with an Android TV deployment?
Well, that's a really great question. It's booming right now. You know, the addressable TV is something that we see for the past month, a big interest in targeted advertising from operators and broadcasters. It's not only a new revenue opportunity for them. It's also, you know, about diversifying the revenue streams, as well as a way to combat, you know, the decrease in linear advertising revenues. It has been adopted by now by a handful of operators, and we see, you know, a lot of traction now from the market. There's Sky in UK with the AndSmart solution. Bouygues in France that just announced a few weeks ago that they will offer, you know, targeted advertising on linear TV, you know, on their 4 million set-top boxes, and True Thailand also that is working on it with our solution. So, but Android TV itself is already, and it is a very mature platform when it comes to ad insertion support. The basic use cases, especially for server-side ad insertion, are supported almost out of the box. However, there are still two big challenges that remain. That are the ecosystem challenge and the client challenge. The ecosystem is really complex. You know, they are dominated by vertical solutions, which operator will have a hard time to manage. They have to manage really carefully in order to maximize their potential. The other thing is the client challenge. You know, we have to solve, operators will have to solve the seamless transition again, you know, between the ads and the live stream to ensure proper, you know, quality of service, quality of experience to the end user. And we, as iWedia, you know, help solving these two challenges.
Right. Well, here's your chance to tell us, David, how iWedia can help. I mean, what can you do really to help overcome those two big challenges with?
Sure. I'll try not to brag too much about it, but I mean, it's easy. On the backend side, you know, our solution introduces an abstraction layer. You can call it also a proxy server, you know, that allows the operator to, you know, be independent from the ad platform and use. Okay, he can use several ad platforms simultaneously, you know. So this will increase their inventory sales. And on the client side, this was on the backend side, so the abstraction layer. On the client side, there are three major benefits. The first one is it's the only solution in the market right now that works with hybrid set-top boxes and multi-screen devices by employing both you know, client-side ad insertion and server-side ad insertion. Second, it offers really seamless ad transitions, as I mentioned, from linear to ad playback and back. And third, it's the only solution that is able to integrate with any middleware. So it comes pre-integrated, of course, with our middleware, but the player for ads can be provided by any third party in the market. Bottom line, you know, it's really important anyway to have some support for it and to have a solution that is already market proven. My point is that since it's a new technology, rather new technology, it's really hard to find solutions that are market proven. And for linear ad insertion on OTT devices and hybrid set-top boxes, we have the proper solution. We launched it in 3 months, you know, for True in Thailand. And so it really ensures a proper time to market, even though we're talking about a brand new technology.
Right. In summary, on the addressable advertising side, which is obviously pretty, you know, it's important as you've identified. What would you say as a quick guide on the most appropriate steps for the service providers who are seeking to build that kind of business on top of Android TV? What do they need to do first, and what sort of order?
Well, yeah, I gave some details already on previous questions, but I can highlight maybe 3 steps here quickly. As the first one is understanding the ecosystem and how it works. It's a very complex ecosystem, as I mentioned, with a lot of third parties. I mean, I addressed it quite extensively in the previous question. So this is the first, understanding the ecosystem. And then second is having or setting a dedicated team internally. It might seem obvious, but usually, operators have a dedicated team for traditional ads that can be repurposed for digital and can be trained on these new technologies. And the third part is, of course, choose its partners and integrate with them. Usually, partners wants to minimize the number of third parties involved in a project. That's why our solution, just do that. We provide a simple API integration. API that can be used for integration with third parties. So you do a single integration basically with iWedia ad platform, and it provides access to multiple ad platforms and multiple ad ecosystems, so the operator can maximize its inventory sales.
Right. Addressable advertising is obviously a very important application that service providers want to perhaps add on top of an Android TV deployment. The other application we looked at briefly, certainly in the survey, was the smart home proposition, which maybe isn't quite so important for service providers just now. But do you think it makes sense for service providers to look at the smart home proposition currently as a way to keep customers and build revenue per user? And to what extent does it do so?
And so this, indeed, this trend, started a few years ago already, and we see some traction from the market in more, let's say, mature markets. And anyway, operators everywhere are facing some challenges, from the as-well providers, from the content rights are really expensive, from cord cutting, cord shaving, so they have to find a way, to diversify their revenue streams through new technologies. And smart home might be one of them. On the technical side, IoT is based on the cloud and IP technologies. So operators already have this backbone in place. On the business side, there is some evidence, research evidence that it can offer an extra monthly ARPU of up to 35 euros, which is a lot, for a penetration of 30%, up to 30% of subscribers in advanced markets. So if you do the math, it's tens of millions of dollars or euros for a 1 million subscribers operator, which is pretty good. So the current trend is show that smart home will get growing traction as the market matures and we reach mass market penetration, like in the US, like in Europe. Here in Brazil, for example, just give you an example. Here in Brazil, Claro, a big tier 1 operator, is providing a smart home solution is narrowed down to a monitoring solution that includes smart cameras, and can be controlled through the app on the mobile. And Vivo is also selling, smart sensors from Xiaomi as retail products, but they don't have their own solution. They have for the B2B market, but not B2C. And I think this is because smart home solutions are still very cumbersome, for a normal consumer to manage installation and integration, maintenance in the home is pretty hard, it's pretty challenging. And this is can be provided basically by the operator, by the telco just like Telecom Slovenia did. It's a customer of ours, of our sister company that provides IoT and smart home solutions.
Right, and are there significant challenges, do you think, that stand in the way of delivering a profitable smart home solution for operators?
Of course, yes. Well, first of all, they have to find the right product, what we call product market fit. So, invest in market intelligence from different companies that offer market intelligence on this, and have consumer research to find the right product. Clay Christensen, a known guy in the US, said, call it the job to be done. When you buy a product, basically you hired someone or something to get a job done. So operators have to first invest in market intelligence and have to find the right product that fit the market needs, and then build a sustainable business model around it. Second, it has to find the right partners. Finding the right partners is also paramount, because when you want to extend your offer, you really rely on the different vendors that you'll find on the market. And for most of the smart home application, you'll need a hub, you'll need a gateway in the home that can support the different IoT devices, that can consolidate the data and interface with the cloud-based platform. That's what our sister company, Oblo Living, for instance, is providing. They offer, they did a really nice little USB dongle that you can plug into your Android TV set-top box, and that can turn the Android TV set-top box into a smart home gateway, of course, with the proper software and that we provided with it. And the third important point is the installation. There's also a real challenge, especially when you talk about home security, home automation. It has a big impact on the home environment, and requires usually an installer to come on site and install it for the end user. So that's why operator has to use regional partnerships or subcontractors to do so, and that's where broadband service providers are really well positioned.
Great. And something I touched on, I guess, only briefly when I was talking about the survey results, are the things that Android, in your opinion, Android TV can itself do to help operators design a smart home offering, and are they significant?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, the great news is, every Android TV set-top box can easily become a smart home gateway with a little dongle, developed by our sister company, Oblo Living, that can take the shape of or a USB dongle, or actually integrate it internally. And the operator set-top box can evolve to a smart home hub and manage all sorts of IoT modules. Also, the operator tier launcher, as we mentioned earlier, can be enriched with IoT features to allow the user, to access and manage their smart devices. For example, if someone is ringing and you have a smart camera outside, then you can be prompted on your smart TV that has operator tier and be prompted with the camera there. So it's a really nice ecosystem where you can really bring and leverage the Android TV ecosystem to bring the smart home offering. But it has challenges, and we see that. I mentioned that in Telecom Slovenia case, an operator that is a customer from our sister company. Telecom Slovenia did just this. They customized the operator tier launcher, and they just won the CSI award of best IoT solution recently. So there's some improvement to be done in the market. As the market matures, I think we will see more traction and more deployments of smart home offerings.
Right. Okay, great. So we've looked at the issues around customization, move to unicast, the importance of the player, which is pretty central, and some of the applications, particularly addressable advertising and also the smart home, and the ways those can add monetary value to the service. Perhaps we can round up before we move to take some questions from the audience. David, perhaps you could give us what you think really is the secret recipe or the top tips really for operators launching an Android TV service successfully.
Well, if we had a secret recipe, then it will be gold. But based on our experience, iWedia is 10 years this year, and so we gathered a lot of experience down the road, and so I can try to give a few tips. First of all, the partner selection is really important for a successful Android TV launch. Being in the hardware side, on the system integrator side, on UI, UX. So this is the first step. Second step is entering the operator tier program. Of course, development and testing is another one. Then you have the Google certification, the maintenance and support. I mean, this all seems obvious, but most of the time, when starting an Android TV project, people get lost in what to do, who to call, who to trigger, etc. So basically, we are also here to help to support our operators and partners to launch it properly and have a decent time to market. I mean, launching a video platform itself is really exciting, but I'll say that one of the second tip will be, to not underestimate the project's complexity and the product and project's complexity, and the time needed for the network customizations. We can think that you can launch an OTT box in 3 or 4 or 5 months, and basically we never saw an operator launching a device so quickly. So we have really to be careful when launching live OTT, IPTV, multicast, hybrid device, not to underestimate the time to market and the complexity of the project. That's why relying on really experienced partners is so important. And of course, so I mean that comes. The bottom line is choosing an expert partner that will help you with relevant references, relevant deployments to ensure a proper commercial launch, a proper time to market, and a great customer experience. And for sure, iWedia is a partner of choice for any successful TV launch.
So no secret recipe, but there are some important tips to be shared, and important partner clearly is one of those.
Yeah, and dealing with the last mile. We mentioned earlier that Android TV by itself is a complete solution, but you have anyway operators have to deal with the last mile. The last mile is for the network, on the network side, on the UI side. There are many things to be done, and we should not underestimate the complexity of this last mile. And that's why sometimes this last mile looks more like a marathon and can lead to really complex projects. That's why we're here to help.
Great. Okay. So we're going to now move to the audience and see what questions we have coming in. So we have one from Julio Ramos, who is asking, how difficult is it for an operator or a service provider to qualify to become part of the Android tier program, to get on the Android tier program for a deployment?
Well, it's not complicated at all. It's not complicated at all. The first thing is that the operator has to own the set-top box. You cannot, deploy a non-pay TV service and apply for the operator tier program. So basically, if it's its own set-top box and he's deploying a pay TV service, being through OTT, through multicast, through unicast, then it can apply for the operator tier program. And once this first discussion is launched with Google and with the UI partner, UI provider, and the system integrator, then it's really straightforward.
Okay, great. Another question from Jan-Peter Gerritsen, who's asking, would OTT, or moving to OTT, I guess, unicast, remove the need for DRM? And if so, can you tell us a little bit about that, about why?
If OTT will remove the need of the DRM, is that the question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. So, well, the basic answer is yes. I'm sorry, is remove the need of a DRM. Is that the question? No, it removes actually the need of a CAS, of a conditional access. So if you go OTT, you only need a DRM as a to secure your content. You don't need any conditional access anymore. So basically, an OTT box means DRM security. Okay,
yeah, that's a bit clear. So no conditional access needed, but you do need DRM. Sarvish Kumar is asking, in relation to anywhere, anytime, any platform requirements of an OTT service, how can iWedia player help with delivering that experience across any platform, any device, anywhere?
How can iWedia help with this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sure. Well, first of all, we mentioned the player. You know, the player is really, as I mentioned, paramount element to ensure a proper quality of experience, quality of service in every device. And that's one of the pillars where we can help to ensure a proper anytime, anywhere experience. Working closely with a TV solution provider, being MediaKind, being Kaltura, we work with many solution providers. We are really able to optimize all the little pieces of the chain to have a proper to minimize delays, optimizing the user experience, and optimizing minimizing the churn basically. This is one. Second one is about the UI, the operator launcher, where we can help. We can develop based on operator launcher. We have a white label UI, white label based on operator launcher that we can provide, and that is supported on any device. So this is yet another option, another solution that we can provide to help a nice customized environment for the operator on any device, anywhere.
Okay. We have another question, and I guess this is something we talked about briefly when we were talking about unicast, move to unicast and hybrid and all of that. Someone is asking, multicast ABR, is that a middle way? Is that the right compromise? So multicast ABR, perhaps you can tell a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's true that we didn't touch based on multicast ABR. Well, for now, eventually, I would say that for an operator that owns a multicast network, then it can be a decent technology to look into. But I mean, it looks a little bit like an interim solution, from multicast to unicast OTT using multicast ABR. But it can be useful where a legacy multicast network already exists. We had a successful deployment in Russia, in V-Line that I just mentioned earlier, with Broadpeak and Kaltura. It was a brand new OTT environment and service for the operator, and we were able to deploy this end-to-end system within 9 months. And they got, I think, 500,000 subscribers in 2 years, which is not bad. So definitely, I mean, multicast APR is for operators that own a multicast network, and it's a pretty decent solution. But for now, I think it's still, let's say, ad interim between multicast and OTT.
Right. Okay. We have another question this time from Ian Lusurium, who is asking about targeted advertising. And I guess the question is, he's asking, how does Android TV as a solution for targeted ads help determine what user or viewer is really in front of the TV screen? So I guess the question is about what functionalities there are within Android TV that really helps with this hyper-targeted advertising.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we touched base on this a little bit earlier. The fact that, out of the box, Android TV already supports some features of ad insertion. Basically, the server side, if the server side ad insertion is taken care of, and they manage, only the Google Ad platform, the Google Ads Manager, then it's pretty straightforward. But then it doesn't allow, operators to really maximize their inventory sales, because to maximize the inventory sales, they want to talk to several ad platforms simultaneously, to make bets. It's about bets, and so they want to be open to the whole ecosystem and ad platforms. And this is where Google has its own limitation. It works pretty well out of the box if you use Google solutions end to end. But if you want to open yourself to other platforms, ad platforms, to the ecosystem that is pretty complex and has many, the ad tech environment is huge, then you have to have other solutions and talk to other solutions providers like us.
Okay, great. We're almost out of time. Let's round off with another question that's come in. It's pretty general. What, very briefly, David, do you see as the most important future trends in the Android TV market overall? That's a very big question. Maybe you could just highlight a couple of things.
About the trends, the Android TV market. Sure. I mean, this is what this webinar I think was about, and this is what the this also survey was about. Trying to find ways around monetization, about how to expand, how to introduce new services, and definitely, I mean, Android TV is a good vessel for that. It's thanks to the easy introduction of those new services. We see also more and more, paid TV, the panel TV, sorry, not paid TV, the panel TV market that is increasing, and getting a lot of traction. And operators can, thanks to Android TV, also include their stack into the panel TVs, the smart TVs, and this is what NTT is doing, for example, in Japan, so that not only they can have their own app, but also support multicast, broadcast within its environment and app. And this is pretty much a trend that we see that it could extend to other markets outside of Japan, in UK, for example, Europe, or maybe the US.
Right, so getting the Android TV in the flat panel itself is a great way of delivering a service, and
yes,
avoids
with
the
operator, with the operator app and operator environment experience, even though it's hybrid environment. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I'm afraid we have run out of time. We're slightly over the hour. So I'd finish off by thanking our presenter, our speaker today, David Paul, for an outstanding discussion. I would also like to thank iWedia for sponsoring today's event, and I'd like to thank you, the audience, for attending. Apologies for my cold, which slightly impeded my delivery of the presentation. I hope that didn't impact on it too much. So on behalf of Digital TV Europe, thank you for joining us, and have a great remainder of the day. Thanks very much.